All right, on today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, one of the big pieces that the Avalanche needed to sign in the offseason is signed. Casey Mittelstadt signs a 3-year deal. Do we like it? New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Make sure you're following us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter X, Locked On Avalanche, Instagram, and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com, and follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live, and make sure you're subscribed to our subtext as well. Link to that's in the show notes below. When you do, chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this wonderful podcast that you are currently listening to. Okay. We will get to the Panthers win. We did not have an episode yesterday because we were watching that like all of you. We will get to the Logan O'Connor season grade. But when one of the big pieces of the puzzle for the Avalanche signs a deal, that's what you need to lead off with. And that is in the form of Casey Mittelstadt, the lone restricted free agent that the Avalanche had in this offseason. They sign him 3-year deal. 5.75 million AAV. I'll get your thoughts on it and we'll discuss because there's a lot here to talk about.
Yeah, when I saw that deal break, I saw, again, the Avs are not playing around. They are getting right to business. And honestly, the 5.75 seemed a little on the cheap to me. So it felt good to me. I was pleased with the deal and for the duration. And it's now one more year of Casey Mittelstadt in the system. We'll see what he does with an offseason, training camp, and then we'll see where this goes. But I love the deal.
When I first saw it, when it popped up and I read it, like, yeah, I got like, okay, and it says Avalanche signed Mittelstadt. That's exciting. That's what you wanted. That's what you and it was going to happen. I mean, he's a restricted free agent. You didn't really feel like it was not going to happen. And then in the Avalanche post, it didn't have the term, it didn't have the money. I immediately go there. Like, that's okay, great. You signed him for what? And it drives me crazy when teams don't put that information out right away. And it was pretty quick. I think it was Pierre LeBrun. Yeah, it was Pierre LeBrun who put it out that it was 3 for 5.75. And when I first saw it, it was so weird. Kyle, I've gone so much back and forth on not hating. I don't hate it at all. But between like liking it and really liking it. And I'm kind of caught in between because it's like, I like the number. I like the 5.75, but I'm like, whenever a deal gets done, no matter who it is, I always look at it from the perspective of the team. I don't look at it in perspective of the player, because if I looked at it from the perspective of the player, it'd be like, get as much money as you can. And you can't do that with every single player. So I look at it from like, how does this benefit the Avs cap wise? Because we know that everything that they're going through right now with Nichushkin and Landeskog, all that other stuff, well documented, whatever. So I always look at it as like, could it have been even a little bit lower? And maybe not. I mean, you're kind of in his ballpark, I'd say. But the 3 years I'm hung up on. And I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, I would have liked for 6. But I would have liked an extra year, 2 at the most. I wouldn't have gone more than 5. I would have been happy if it was maybe just one more year. Give me a 4th year. And maybe that number comes down a little bit more if you give him a 4th year, and then you can save a little bit. I don't know how that would all work out, but it's curious to me why they went for 3. Your thoughts, and I'll come back on that.
No, and that's a wonderful question, and it's something we've kind of like thrown back and forth, just trying to rationalize it earlier today. Honestly, when I saw the post of Avalanche signed Mittelstadt, I honestly thought this was going to be a 4 for 6. Like that's just, it feels like that is the carbon copy automatic response for the contract. And when I saw it was 3 for 5.75, I respect it. Like with the Avalanche, you just talked about Landeskog and Nichushkin's contract that they got hanging over their head, and the cap is tight. And we're looking at Mittelstadt and everything that he can bring to the team, but he hasn't yet. And I would have started to frown if it was 4 or 5, because what are we committing to? I understand Mittelstadt has all the talent in the world, but we haven't fully seen it in an Avalanche sweater to this point. And what it will look and it translate, does it work? Because he had moments of showing up and then disappearing, and in the playoffs showing up and disappearing. So we want to see what it looks like in a full season, and then if it works, you got 2 more years of this, and then maybe maximize a little bit when the cap goes up again. Or if it turns out to be another like Ryan Johansson or Tomas Tatar or something that's just not working, it's
okay. In terms of it not working, I got you.
In terms of it not working, you don't have that 4 or 5 more years of, oh my God, what are we going to do to dump this contract? And then you have 3 contracts that you're juggling around that what are we going to do with? So they went safe with this contract.
Yeah. And that's, that's where you get kind of caught up in what, and I hate to go there, right? A guy just signed a brand new contract for 3 years, but I hate to go to what happens next.
Yeah.
What if part. Funny how we were just talking about what if before we
no.
What if, completely unrelated to hockey, but let's go down that road. If he pans out, and maybe that is a reason. I was talking with Eric on subtext about this, and it's like who went for the 3 years, and you can kind of make the argument that either one of them did. You could make the argument that the Avalanche didn't want to go long term for what you were just saying. They don't know what they have. It like they expect him to be in this role for a long period of time, but they don't know. So maybe they're being a little bit cautious and saying, "Hey, you got 3 years to prove it. Maybe even 2, because after 2, then we can extend you when we go into that last year." Or was it him? Was it Casey Mittelstadt who said, "I don't want a long-term deal," which to me maybe be a little bit weird for a player to not say, "Lock me up." But hey, 3 years, that's when I'm 28. And then if I do what I'm supposed to do, that's my unrestricted free agent year, and I will cash in. And if that happens, then the Avalanche have Nazem Kadri 2.0 on their hands, because then who knows where they are in the cap situation by then. You would think the Nichushkin stuff in 3 years will be kind of hopefully ironed out, good or bad. But if it goes that route and they can't afford him, now they're back in the same boat of, now we got to find another 2C. And yeah, I know they got guys, you could either sign someone at that point in time, or hopefully one of your prospects pans out that could take that role. That part of it I'm not worried about right now. But I am worried about, man, like this could go in any direction after 3 years of, if he's your guy, you got to pony up again. And was it, you could say like, yeah, why not just, hey, sign them long term? So maybe just get those 5 years. You could always trade them, but then you're getting into, hey, maybe if he's not working out, you got to have to retain some salary. So when you break all that stuff down, okay, maybe 3 years. It's weird. It's almost like a 3-year show me type of contract. And if he does, maybe you're in trouble, because you're not gonna be able to sign him after 3 years if he's that good, and he prices himself out.
And this raises this honestly sets the market for the moves to come, because this playing it safe and the Avalanche saying, show me that you can fit, and Casey Mittelstadt saying, I'll show you how much you're going to pay me at the end of this deal. This is also like the Avalanche are not over committing to potential, because Mittelstadt has not jumped off the stat sheet like honestly anticipated when you saw everything he did in Buffalo. But the Avalanche have a player that they haven't signed yet that has jumped off the sheet and has performed above expectations with Jonathan Drouin. And it makes me curious on how they're going to address that contract, because if they're handling Mittelstadt as safe, like give me 3 years and then we'll talk after that 3rd year. And honestly, if he prices himself out of Colorado, I would anticipate that means there's a cup somewhere in those 3 years, because if he's playing that good at the 2C, the Avalanche are going to be doing mighty fine. So
Oh yeah,
that helps things, and the cup's going to go up, I believe, one more time in that time frame.
okay.
But if I'm not mistaken, I think it's going up one more time in that time frame. But when you're looking at Drew Wynn, I'm curious on what they gauge as potential, or if they're going to pay for that last season and expect that to be the norm from now on in Colorado, because you have two different situations: potential and not performing, and potential and overperforming. How are they going to handle these contracts?
And we're going to one extreme or the other of either underperforming or way overperforming, or if he just performs to expectation and does what you expect him to do. And I think that's where, you have those 3 years. And that's why I say, like, after 2, if you're happy with him, that's you have that year to do an extension and him not hit free agency and not play that Nazem Kadri last year of contract, unbelievable performance, 80 something points, and now he's gone. So I think the Avalanche have learned from that to, okay, yeah, we'll get 2 years out of him. Performs always the way he's supposed to perform. Then let's go like they're doing with Mikko. I mean, what you're getting out of Mikko, but I'm just saying, like, you have that last year, and then you can start extension talks if you want to. And you don't let them get to that last year where you can just go crazy because it's a contract year and players just for some reason always pick it up in a contract year. What it means for other players, like, a lot of people are thinking like this is just the writing on the wall for someone like Ross Colton to, like, maybe on his way out. I don't know. I don't know if this is why we were saying ever since the season ended, it will be interesting to see how the Avs and Chris McFarland juggle all these balls up in the air. Does it mean someone like Ross Colton is out the door to free up $4 million for your third line center is not cheap. Is he worth it? I mean, yeah, kind of, but you also got to play the numbers game too.
And it's one thing to put a team on the ice for this year, and that's what McFarland is doing. But he also has to keep in mind that contract for number 96 is coming up as well. So you're playing checkers and chess at the same time.
Yeah. It's a tough gig. It's a tough job. So, but overall, I really like Casey Mittelstadt. I think he's a really good fit for this team. I think it was a smart trade that they made. Yeah, he didn't like losing Bo Byram, but it was a need. God, was it a need? And if it all goes the way it's supposed to go, I like what he can bring to this team. His passing is just, it's beautiful to watch, and they need it. They need playmakers on the second line, and he can absolutely do that. So at least you're on for 3 years, and we'll see where all this number stuff goes. I don't want to put a downer on it. I want to make it seem like I'm down on it, because I'm not. I just got a little bit hung up on the 3 years when I'm thinking like, oh, you could have maybe got him lock him up for maybe a few more, because I'm just expecting it to go well. I am not expecting it to go south. And because I'm thinking that's going to go well, I was thinking like throw him another year or two because of that. But Avalanche maybe are being a little bit cautious here. If they're the ones that were, at the forefront of like, let's do 3 years, and then after 2 we can negotiate and get a little bit of a bump. And the cap goes up for those next 2 years too. So that's, you got to take that into account as well. So all in all, I'm happy about it. I'm happy that they got them signed, get it out of the way, and now we can focus on the next bit of business, which is Jonathan Drouin. So let's talk about Logan O'Connor, fan favorite. Let's get his season grade. Let's do that next. eBay Motors, passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. And eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, style, which we call what, Mr. Sullivan?
The Nathan McKinnon trilogy.
That's correct. eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home the win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. An eBay guaranteed fit is only available to U.S. customers. All right, Logan O'Connor. He was on his way, beeline to a career year. In some ways, it was because he had a very good year, and then it got stopped, and he had surgery. And as soon as they announced that, they said he's done. he would not be coming back. His season was over, and you just felt like that hurt. That hurts because you just like him. As a guy, as a player, and you like what he brings to this team. So I was interested to see where the voting went for this. And if you're watching over on the YouTube, there it is. I went B plus. Everybody else went B, straight B. Kyle went B. The interesting thing over on Twitter, X, that vote was tied, A and B, with minutes left. And there were some votes that went in literally in the last minute. And that brought it down to a B. I had the graphic made where it was A and B. And then I checked it right before we went live. I'm like, because there's a couple minutes left in the poll. So I checked it, and then some people threw in Bs. So the B won out. But it was close. It was 55% on YouTube, 45% on Twitter, 50% on Instagram, and 60% on Threads, all Bs. But overall, I think everybody's happy with the season Logan O'Connor had. You just wish that it finished off the regular season, and you wish that it went into the postseason.
Yeah, and B's in the trap with this grade, and honestly, well deserved. And this is not like a step down B. Like this is good. And we were just talking about what if in the first segment. This is the ultimate what if right here, because Logan O'Connor at time of injury was just under a half a point a game. But the year prior played 82 games. The year before, 81 games. Like, I remember during the Cup run, a couple people saying LOC is their favorite member of the Colorado Avalanche. And I was perplexed. I was stunned. I was shook to the core. But when you see the year that LOC was having, I can understand. Everybody's going to point to the shorthanded goals. Understandable. But my goodness, he is electric. And he was going to be setting all kind of career numbers this year if he played this season to fruition.
Yeah, we were just saying like, oh yeah, he's going to get his career high because he had 25. His career high is 26 points, I believe. Yeah, 26, which he got last year. And he was at 25 points. Let's see. He got that on February 8th. He got his 25th point. I mean, come on now. He got 2 months of the season left to get 2 points. I think you can do that. And then he went with 7 straight games, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 straight games where he didn't get a point. Like, oh, okay, but you still got plenty of time, and then he gets hurt. So in terms of like just the career numbers, you would have liked to see him get over that hump. But that was going through his game log early in the season. Started on October 24th. He went 7 games without a point. He finally got an assist on November 27th. And then, no, wait, I'm backed up a little bit. I'm sorry. No, it starts on November 18th. We'll start it there. November 18th, 4, 5, 7 games without a point. He gets a goal on December 5th and then follows it up with 8 games with no points. So that is a large chunk where he's not. And Logan O'Connor can get you points, clearly. So, yeah, I know he's a bottom 6 guy that can come up into a top 6 role if you need him to. He's that good. He's that versatile. But to go that many games with nothing, and you're still on the verge of breaking your career points total, is kind of impressive. Because he had a streak of 7, 2 streaks of 7, and a streak of 8 where he had nothing. You break that up a little bit, dude, and you're a 40-point point guy in that realm. If you can be a little bit more consistent on you got to figure out, when I'm on a streak where I'm not getting points, break out of that. And that's what separates your superstars from guys that are your workhorses like Logan O'Connor is. And there's nothing terribly wrong about that, but you just feel like he's got the capability and the ability to not to end those streaks, pointless streaks, a little bit earlier. But even when he's not scoring, he is providing for this team tons. So you kind of live with it a little bit because he does so much for this team.
And see, that was kind of the knock on him the previous 2 years is LOC's constantly trying to find his place on this team. And like you mentioned, his last game was in February. The team that finished the season was completely different than the team that left. Like, he didn't get to see the trade deadline. He didn't get to see Sean Walker. He didn't get to see Mittelstadt that we just talked about. Like, he didn't get to really, like, the defense was suspect at that point when he left. Georgiev was also becoming suspect at this point. He didn't get to see the resurgence and, like, this retooled Avalanche team. He would have hit the career points mark easily.
Easy.
Where he would have found his, again, back to the what if, where LOC would have fit in with this new look Avalanche team after the deadline, I'm going to be running theories in my head on where he would be in that roaring 20s line. Just imagine what that would have meant for Wood and Colton if LOC could have rode out this year. They probably would have had better productions in their grades and their season points as well. But LOC, he was finding his footing, but then the season ended for him.
Yeah, and man, he was heading towards an A for me. And just I gotta take into account and it's not anything that's his fault. He gets hurt and you gotta have surgery, but you missed a handful of games. You missed the postseason, so I gotta bring him down just a little bit. For I hated doing it, but it was kind of necessary. Couple people from subtext. Marie, I had to get Marie's comments in here because she sent them early because she was going to be working. She wasn't going to be, I don't know if she's going to be like off the grid or what, but she sent her thoughts in on Logan a couple days ago because it's her favorite player. So maybe it's a little bit biased, but that is fine. We accept that here. That's okay. It's no secret I'm a huge LOC fan, 100% biased. She even admits it. But I think he deserves an A for this season, and here's why. And I like this because she goes into detail. Doesn't just say, he gets an A because he's my favorite. He had the best year he's ever had as an Av up until he got hurt. He was a driving force behind the Roaring 20s line, which became, this is a good point, which became very clear when he left for his surgery, that the line suddenly became less productive.
Yep.
I don't think that's, there's a lot of truth to that.
That's 100% correct.
Yeah. Number two, he could be inserted anywhere in the lineup and could be counted on to play well, drive the speed of play, and make very few errors. 3, just so darn good on the penalty kill. 100% agree with that. 4, great at beating everybody down the ice, dipping the puck out of his corners, and then shipping it up on the ice in ice to his shootier line mates. And she said, yes, shootier is a word now. Thank you, Mark Mosier, for that. Number 5, I think the team missed him far more than anyone.
And you locked up there. And just like to Marie's point, that I think that we skip over a lot with LOC because we get lost in the penalty kill and his shorthanded goals that he had. There are so many times on the ice that when you see 25 flying down the boards, you confuse him with the speed of Nathan McKinnon. Like, he is deceptively quick. And when he gets that breakaway, he is extremely dangerous. That's what propels him on the penalty kill.
Yeah, absolutely. What was I saying before I locked up there? She's talking about, she threw out Bednar. Bednar said that he hadn't realized until he was gone what a quote load bearer he was for the team. 6, always ready to stand up for his teammates. 7, all this on a bargain contract. Marie, you laid it out. That is 7 points. Beautifully done. And I love that. I love that she bullet points, and here's why he's an A for me, not just because he's my favorite player. Well done, Marie.
Masterclass.
Could not be better than that. All right, let's get into the last game of the season. We have no more hockey, Kyle. This is a bummer.
The Avs have been out for a whole 2 rounds. I haven't had hockey. I watched Game 7.
I always love watching the Stanley Cup. As soon as it's over, it's like, oh yeah, like there's no hockey tomorrow. So let's talk about that. The Panthers do win this thing. They avoid disaster in up 3-0. What did we think? We'll talk about that coming up next. Let's hear from Game Time. It's an authorized ticket marketplace for Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. And with killer last minute deals, all in pricing, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. What do we love about the Game Time app? You have priority last minute deals. You can save up to 60% off when you buy last minute tickets for sporting events, concerts, comedy, and theater. Flash deals, zone deals, all in pricing. The price you see is the price you pay. No surprise fee at checkout. The lowest price guarantee or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code Locked On NHL, LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, the hockey season is a wrap. It's in the books, sir, and the Florida Panthers are going to be engraved on the Stanley Cup. They avoid the disastrous 3-0 collapse, and overall, like I said, we didn't have a game, or we didn't have. Yeah, we should start calling these games instead of episodes. We didn't have an episode yesterday because you're tuning into that. It's Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. The sport that we cover. We are watching that every single second, and I was really on the edge of my seat. I thought both teams played. I thought they played a really good game. A lot of back and forth, a lot of teams taking control of the pace of play, and in the end, the Panthers win it. So I'm okay with my allegiance was maybe going a little bit towards Edmonton over Florida, but it wasn't so much where it's like if Florida won, I was going to be disappointed. I'm happy for them. I'm happy for the Panthers. They get their first one ever, so that's always nice to see. And where do we go from here? What do you think?
Well, I'll go ahead and say this for the contingency of the Avalanche fans that also keep track of this and celebrate along with me. Connor McDavid still does not have a cup, so we can all celebrate. It's all wonderful. McKinnon 1, McDavid 0. I was watching the game. It was a beautiful game. Played well. It didn't get chippy. It didn't get out of control. Like it was a beautiful Game 7. And then when Florida won, I was like, well, that's cute. That's adorable. Way to go, Florida. 30 years. Go get you. Just go skate. Have fun. And then they put that microphone in front of the face of Paul Maurice and all of those Florida Panthers. And I was like falling in love with every word that they said. Paul Maurice wishing the next cup was the Winnipeg Jets. And you don't just win a cup, you share the cup. And just all of these beautiful quotes about the mindset of the locker room. And it took me back to that time when the Colorado Avalanche won the cup. And I was like, oh, I know these feelings. I know this camaraderie, this love for the locker room and every member that's there and a complete team effort. It took me back to that moment. And I was like, do I love the Florida Panthers? And then I went and took a cold water and splashed my face. I was like, no, I do not.
Smacked yourself around a little bit. Like, what is going on with me? The Paul Maurice thing is great. And it's just, I think he just needed a moment like this for people to say, like, who is this? Even though he's been around forever.
Yeah.
There's maybe like those people that we were saying are going to tune into this game that typically don't watch a hockey game, but it's Game 7. If they watched like those comments from Paul Maurice, you just fall in love with the guy. You do. And even all along, all through the playoffs, he was making comments like that.
Yeah.
And you like his approach to the game, and you could tell you play for him. You are going to give your best effort for him because he is a player's coach. Absolutely. So that was fun to see. What GM is going to go sign Corey Perry right now?
Columbus.
Oh my goodness. Like you are immediately, your face is going to be on a dartboard if you are a GM that signs Corey Perry, and I've never been a big Corey Perry fan. I know he plays a different game now than he did, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago when he was much more of a pain in the what. He's older, so he doesn't really play that style anymore. But man, when you're losing, it's like you're just a journeyman, and wherever you go, you lose the Stanley Cup. Who wants you anymore?
It's like he's paying like an eternal hell, and he's
Oh.
just got to lose the Stanley Cup for the rest of his career.
It's incredible. But no, man, I watch it no matter what, because seeing the cup come out and players, adults act like, they're 10 years old again. And now, and even the stuff that comes the day after,
Yeah.
you're seeing them like in the ocean with it. Second story, just dumping it on some, tourist probably walking by. That's a story he's going to tell for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
All of this stuff that you're going to see for the next days, weeks, and months in the offseason. I love that stuff. So, and I like it. I also like the fact that it's, on a team that I don't particularly despise.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it a lot last year because I just couldn't watch a team that I cannot stand in Vegas enjoying themselves. I'm sorry. Could not do it. But this year, I'm going to tune in to see where it's brought, who's got it, where they bring it overseas and bring it to their home high school, and no other sport has this, none. So I look forward to it every single year, and this year is going to be no different.
And honestly, I think the big catalyst moment that really, I honestly kind of got misty-eyed knowing everything he's gone through, seeing Bobrovsky skate around with a cup. Like,
yeah,
he's had a career. He's had some ups and downs. He's had some hardships. And like to see him finally carry that cup around, like all I kept thinking was this should be like Hellebuck one time, because he deserves the cup to be attached to him. Hellebuck will be like McDavid until he gets that cup. He's never going to take that next level. But like as soon as Bobrovsky was skating around with it, they said there is the check mark on a potential Hall of Fame career. And I was like, this is the kind of thing that we're talking about when it comes to McDavid and Hellebuck. Like, you need this cup to cement your legacy. Like, I know McDavid's got all these records and everything, but that cup means so much more.
And then two things, like I had zero problem with McDavid winning the Conn Smythe. None. He was the most valuable player in the playoffs. He was.
Until 6 and 7.
Well, that you can throw that in if you want to. Even despite that, he still was the best player in the playoffs. That's a conversation for another time. I know some people weren't really happy about that. And Matthew Tkachuk, again, like not a big fan of him either. Like I'm a fan of his skill and how he can play. I just can't stand when he just mixes it up for cheap shots, guys. He does. But that is a move that shifted the balance of the East.
Yep.
And when there's moves that just work for a team, and they go on and they take a chance and they give up a lot to get one guy because they really have faith that that's going to change the dynamic of a franchise. And a lot of times it doesn't work that well.
Mm-hmm.
This has, my God, like bringing him in completely changed the face of that team, completely changed their dynamic. And look what they've done since he's come in. I know it's bigger than him, and then everybody has to pitch in, but that is a move that is, I don't know. I want to say it's been underrated, but I kind of feel like it has. I mean, it got the publicity that it should have gotten because he's a marquee name, but now you've gone to 2 Stanley Cups and you've won one since you've made that deal. That's got to be looked at as one of the best deals in the last, pick a number, years. It's really, really benefited. It's really turned the fortunes of that team.
And I don't like either of the Tkachuks in the league right now. I was a big fan of their father, Big Walt, big guy. I like him. I think he's great. But to see the Panthers believe in their system, very similar to how Colorado did when they put that team together, to see it pay off in this regard, it's refreshing to see. And I cannot wait to see the ratings on this cup, because this whole series was just beautiful hockey.
It's been good. So that is going to wrap it up for today as we put a bow on really that entire hockey season. Another one is in the books, and now draft right around the corner, sir. Good Lord. I love this stuff. No waiting around. We're on to the next thing. Who cares about the Panthers? That was so yesterday. We're looking at the draft right now. So we will be back. What you got?
The Ducks get a new jersey today.
Do they finally? Because good Lord. I mean, this has been dragged out more than anything I can think of. Just announce it already, guys, please.
We've already seen it in the leaks. Just put it out there.
Holy crap. All right. That's going to wrap it up for today, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciate it. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys later.